Hi folks, and welcome back to the Travels of Red Rover. I'm Shawn, and well, Corinne's not here. She's off traveling this week, so I'm out for a walk in the mountains to get a little exercise and to get some fresh air, because we've been cooped up in the house for the last week or so. It's been very rainy out here in southern Nevada, and that means snow up here in the mountains. So I'm going to go for a walk in the snow on the top of the Spring Mountains at one of our favorite hiking locations. So I hope you enjoy the walk with us, and I'll show you some of the features along the way. And if you have any questions about our walk, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments down below. Anyway, let's go and enjoy the walk. So I'm just getting ready to leave on our little walk this morning, and I wanted to show you a little device that we use all the time. This is a Garmin Inreach, and whenever we're walking in the backcountry, we always carry this with us. It's a two-way communicator via text, if you want to use it for that. We use it primarily for tracking our hike, and also it is a built-in SOS, so that if something bad happens and you really need help, there's a way to signal for help. So we've used this for years. It's been a great device, and we highly recommend it if you're out in remote areas or if you're a solo hiker. Nothing's worse to be in an area where there's no cell phone, and there is no cell phone here, and not be able to reach out for help if you need it. So a couple of other things that we always use when we're hiking, and it's in every bag that we take, is some form of medical supply kit. It's amazing to me how many times this has come into handy. Actually, not for myself very often, or Corinne, but it's actually come in handy quite often for other folks we've met on the trail who have had minor injuries and, you know, need to get them cleaned up and a bandage put on them, that sort of thing. So we always carry one of these. In our photographic bags, where we tend to use those to hike much deeper into the bush, we also carry splints for ankles and broken bones as well. So something for you to consider when you're hiking in remote areas. And of course, we've got a bottle of water here. And as we've probably said before, I always hike with poles. So I'm going to be taking these with me too. I won't need them for a little while yet, but I'll have them when the trail gets a little bit more strenuous. So these always go with us as well. And also generally, I either have in my pocket, which I do right at the moment, a series of mitts or gloves, and I'll also stick in a hat, an extra wool hat to put in the bag in case it gets, in case I get cold. Or quite often what happens is that I'll warm up as I'm walking, and then if I'm going to sit and have a little break, I often put on the warm gloves and hat in order to make it a little bit more comfortable and not let me cool down quite so. So something else that we often take with us, or at least I take with us when I'm hiking in the wintertime, is one of these neck warmers. For some reason, I find it very uncomfortable if I'm getting a breeze up the back of my neck and it's in any way exposed. So I'll often just put this on just to make my neck more comfortable. I have sort of two weights of these kind of neck warmers. I have one that's quite a bit lighter that I tend to wear in the spring and the fall, and then I tend to wear this one in the wintertime. The other thing too is, and something to consider, is I often wear this goofy looking Patagonia hat. And one of the reasons I wear it is, well, partly because it protects the back of my neck a little bit, and it also gives me a little bit of shade on the front when I'm hiking. Often in the desert here, when it's cold, it's still often very, very bright. And this really helps act like my sort of typical baseball cap, but also gives me ear and neck protection. And it's something I quite like when I'm hiking. So where I'm parked, it's about a half-mile hike up to the trailhead. So I'm just going to be hiking up the road here for a little while. And once I get to the trailhead, it's about a 2-mile each way trip. This is not a round loop. It's a there and back again type of trail. It's an absolutely gorgeous area. It is absolutely beautiful back here today. It's a completely still day, which we don't get that often. It's almost always blowing at some level. And it's unusual. I wish we had smell-o-vision, because the forest just smells beautiful right at the moment. The desert kind of pine juniper forests have a very specific smell after it has gotten wet or rained for a couple days, or in this case snow, and it is just gorgeous. Wonderful day to be outside. Well, I've made it up to the trailhead. As you can see behind me, there's a gate that prevents any more traffic going through here. This originally started off as a wood gate, then it became a wooden wire gate, and now it's an aluminum tube gate. And it's kind of really interesting because the gate has features that allow both humans and horses to go up the trail. So these aluminum bars here are to let horses pass, and also it used to be that they had an entrance for the pedestrians right here, but a few years ago they closed that off, and now the only entrance is the horsey entrance. So there had been hikers and cars on the vehicle road up to the trailhead, and now it is just me and the bunnies. Should be a fun little walk here. I'm just taking a little rest in the shade here, and I was just thinking to myself how much I like being the first person to walk down a trail. Nothing's better than being the first person to walk down a snowy trail. I literally have the place to myself, and unfortunately I still have airplanes flying over top of me. This area is actually on the flight path into McCarran Airport in Las Vegas. But otherwise it's completely quiet out here. So when the planes go away, it's silent. What could be better? The further I get out here, the deeper the snow gets. So it's getting to be a bit of a challenge to walk through the snow. I'm going to probably have to break out the walking poles here pretty soon. It's also getting really slippery going down these steep little hills here. Fortunately, I'm not too far away from where I want to be, so a little bit further and should be good. A series of tracks. A lot of the times they're just bunny tracks, but I've come across a series of coyote tracks here. So they were walking in the direction opposite to me. Occasionally it looks like there's more than one coyote, although right here it's a single coyote. I noticed back on the trail a little while ago that there was a couple at least. I didn't recognize them at first because I thought I was still watching or looking at bunny trails. There is lots of wildlife out on these trails. It's not unusual for us to see desert hares and coyotes and bunnies. Lots of birds in the spring and fall too. This is a very favorite spot for them. I imagine there's a fair number of birds out here even now. I'm just not hearing or seeing them today. I've walked up about 200 feet in elevation, and the snow is definitely getting deeper and deeper as I go, which is making the walking really tough because it's predominantly uphill at this point. So I'm going to go a little further, but I may get defeated by the snow today. So I finally arrived at my destination. This is an area that is extremely important from both an archaeological and cultural point of view. The early peoples of North America use this area quite extensively, and there are a number of cultural and archaeologically important structures out here. Really important not to damage or, quite frankly, even go too close to these structures. I know that they've been studied at some level, but I think to a large extent the amount of study that's been done out here is marginal, and I think that they're hoping that they'll eventually be able to do a lot more research in the area. So if you happen to come out here and you see one of the structures, one of the most obvious ones is an agave roasting pit. You know, please leave them alone. We'd like them to be here for a long time to come and for people to enjoy way into the future. The agave roasting pits, as seen here in this picture, were conical structures. The pits were used to roast the agave hearts that were harvested locally. So I'm starting to work my way back. It's still a beautiful day, but the wind has started to come up, and that's making it quite cool. I've got my poles out and gonna slog my way through that heavy wet snow on the way back. Footprints make it a little easier to walk back, and there's some nice bare patches. The snow has gotten a real hard crust on it, so I'm having to break through the crust as I walk along. Yeah, it does make it a little bit more challenging. It's like slogging along in mud. It's not particularly difficult. It's just hard work. It's still an absolutely beautiful day, even though the snow's a little deep up here and getting a bit crusty. We often get this after we get several days of rain here in the southwest, and then we'll get crappy weather for 3 or 4 days blowing in from California, and then we'll get a day like this where it's absolutely fantastic. I just love it when I get to the top of a hill. Look at how beautiful that is out there. I'm actually hiking to those little foothills that are just in front of that large mountain there, and just behind those there's actually the Blue Diamond Road that goes from Las Vegas to Pahrump. I did notice these prints on the way up when I was hiking up. I just noticed them coming down. And what makes them unusual is they look like a dog print or a coyote print, but I don't think there's any nail marks in these like you typically see in the coyote prints, which tends to suggest it's a big cat. And based on how much these are spread out, it's either a really large animal or moving really fast. And these are big prints. So I suspect it's a big cat of some sort. Probably one of the local mountain lions. I've walked down the hill. I'm back actually at the gate that starts the hike. I still have a little ways till I walk down to the truck. but I thought I'd end the video here. Well, I sure hope you enjoyed coming along with me today. It was my pleasure to bring you, and I had a great time. If you enjoyed the video, I'd sure appreciate it if you give us a thumbs up. If you'd like to keep track of us, please subscribe. That always helps, and the more subscribers we have, the more opportunity we have to be seen by others. And as always, if you'd like to know when we release another video, hit that bell marker. Again, thank you so much for coming along. I hope to see you soon, and bye for now. Well, I'm just sitting here. I just arrived back at the van, and I thought the video was going to be over, but I decided to add a postscript because something happened on the trail that I didn't talk about at all, but I'm starting to think I should have. As you can tell, I'm a senior and a fat diabetic on top of that. So when I walk, I always take water with me. But because I've reached that age where I'm not as thirsty as I used to be, I don't tend to hydrate myself very well. In fact, I've been known to take water all the way out to the end of the trail and walk with the water all the way back to the other end of the trail, and not ever actually touching the water. Now, I know this is really bad, and I used to be able to get away with it, but today I paid the price. Today, when I was walking back, ended up having a massive leg cramp that made me topple over. And I'll show you the bit of video here in a second. I don't know if the camera can show this very well, but I did notice these prints on the way up. So the bottom line is, this is something I'm very aware of, and frankly have just got to be better at it. But I'm bringing it up for those of you that are a little on the older side, maybe getting a little gray, and are out hiking. No matter how well you feel and whether you feel thirsty or not, it's really important to hydrate really very regularly. If you're not doing that, then you're going to have problems. So I just wanted to bring that up for folks so that you won't have the problem I had, which is keeling over on the trail. Now, as it turns out, the spasms were only very short-lived, and I was easily able to walk out. Mind you, I sat and hydrated myself before I did. So it turns out I got away with this today, but there will be other times when I just won't be able to get away.